The following is a Podbeard production.
From the deepest bowels of your imagination.
Actually, he's from Canada there, bud.
From the famed Hotter Show studios, this is The Hotter Show.
What is up, everybody? We are rolling out of here today on episode 202 of The Hotter Show. Hope you guys doing absolutely fantastic. Thanks so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. I have a spectacular episode for you here today, guys, as I try to every single week here on The Hotter Show. I apologize for missing last week's episode. Is what it is. You know, things like that happen in life. I try to be not so hard on myself when these kinds of things happen. I used to really beat myself up over it. Now I'm like, you know what? Is what it is, man. I'm not stressing about it because there's just no point. You know, you can beat yourself up about it and you can be like, oh, I can't believe I missed an episode, bro. Oh, I don't deserve to do a podcast. Or you can just be like, fuck it, whatever. You just run with it. But anyway, I have a killer episode for you here this week, guys, as I sit down and have a chat with my boy Frankie Wood of the now announced Frankie Wood and the Thrifts, which is very, very cool. We actually did this interview as of right now. It was just over a week ago. So it was just before he announced the name of his band. So that's why we didn't talk about it in the interview, because the episode was supposed to be released the next day, but I realized there was no way in how that was going to happen in time. So I did not want to rush it and put out a crappy edit or anything of the show, even though the interview was spectacular. He's always an awesome guest, but I wanted to make sure I could put my full effort forth and introduce video as well, which is something that you can check out on the YouTube. If you're listening on the YouTube right now, you're not seeing video at the moment. You're just seeing a blank picture of the Hotter Show logo. However, in a couple minutes, you will actually see the video. I'm not going to do the intro and outros in video just yet, just for logistical sake. It's going to be a lot easier for me to just do it this way, but I will assure you they will happen eventually. It's going to be really, really awesome. I'm very, very excited about that. So look forward to it. It's going to be very fun. But if you are listening to the show audio-wise and you want to see video, you can do so by going on the YouTube. It is on there. I'm going to get it on there even if it kills me this week because Frankie was nice enough to do the video thing with me. So again, I do appreciate it, my man. And we got something else going on that's really, really exciting. And I am super hyped about it. And that is Podbeard Network has a new sponsor. Now, I'm going to have some kind of an official kind of, promo or ad or whatever the hell in the very near future. But for now, I'm very, very happy to announce that Podbeard Network is partnering with SeatGiant.ca or .com, depending on where you are. Basically, for those of you who are not aware, SeatGiant is a spectacular resale website that sells tickets for concerts, sporting events, comedy events, theater events, basically anything you can buy tickets to or that you can buy tickets for, you can get on SeatGiant.ca or .com. Again, depends on where you're from. If the .ca obviously is for Canadian users, so you can buy things in the Canadian currency. US, the .com obviously is for the US with the United States currency. Regardless of what website you use, you can go on there, select whatever tickets you want to buy. Me personally, I'm looking at some Alice in Chain tickets happening here at Casino Rama very shortly coming up. I'm very excited about that. You can go on there and use the promo code PODBEARD. That's PODBEARD, PODBEARD, all in lowercase, and you will save yourself a little something. Okay, a little something. If you're buying like 4 tickets for an event, a little something goes a long way, okay? Let me just say that. So they're spectacular people. We're super, super excited to be partnering with them. I am beyond hyped about this. Can't wait to grow this partnership and hopefully, be able to send some people their way. They're great people, and they're not like some ticket resale websites. They're kind of sketchy a little bit with the way they do things, if we're being honest, but SeatGiant is not like that. They're very upfront with their pricing. They tell you exactly how much everything's going to be. They tell you why it's this. You go on there and they have the map as to where you're sitting and you can select it. It's spectacular. It's just as good as any other ticket site out there, if not better, in my opinion. So again, that's SeatGiant.ca giant.ca or .com. Go check them out. Use the coupon code PODBEARD, and you'll save yourself a little something on whatever event you want to go to. All right, with that all out of the way, guys, we're ready to roll into this podcast. My interview with my boy Frankie Wood of Frankie Wood and the Thrifts. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so we're joined on the show again by a guy you may have heard of. He was on the show before, and I did a review of his debut EP. I'm super excited to have him back on. We have Mr. Frankie Wood joining us. Frankie, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm really glad we were able to make this happen, get you back on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Glad it can finally happen. Last time we did it was, I think it was just last June, and a lot has happened since then. So.
Oh, for sure. Yes, you've had a lot going on, and I mean, since we spoke on the 21st there, you did another tour that you hit all over Ontario, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, Quebec. You dropped a wicked new video and new song at the tail end of 2018 there, which is an absolute banger of a track. If you guys are regular listeners of the program, you know that I did feature it on my best of 2018 at the end of the year there. And of course, it is also a little bit of a departure, I would say, in a way, from your work on the Violet Drive. So I'm just curious, starting off with that, how was that tour? How did kind of the whole thing go? Like, is there kind of anything you want to touch on from the tour?
It's definitely an improvement. You see a lot of positive changes when you hit up the same places twice in the same year, and that was kind of my mission in doing a second East Coast tour in the fall that follows roughly the same path as the one that I did in the spring. Because I've made those same connections. I was able to book the venues easier. I had an idea of the local artists that I wanted on each bill.
Okay.
And it was less stressful. It felt good. It felt more natural, and it was wonderful to see not only the familiar faces from the spring, but to see people bring out their friends, and to see more people come to each show. So I'd say it was a better turnout for almost each show, and it was more comfortable. So worked well.
That's great. And now the tour you did before, were you primarily just playing songs from the Violet Drive, or was there anything else you were throwing in? And then this time around, did you throw your new song into the set list, or
the new single "I Can't Dance"? I did have written.
Okay.
At that time, and I was playing an acoustic rendition of it.
Oh, okay.
And even on the spring tour, I had a couple other songs thrown in, of course. So I have more than just 5 songs or 6 songs on my set.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's always good to throw some in. So I know that like with you were just touching on with that turnout. So was there anyone you saw that came up to you and like, oh, I was here for your show last time, and like, here's a bunch of my friends or whatever? Like, did you kind of have any like personal connections like that with anyone that came out, or?
Yes, in multiple cities. It was really nice.
That's awesome. Did you kind of have like a favorite moment or show that you played throughout that tour?
I got to more of Halifax. For both of them, I was able to before and after the show get out with some new friends and explore the local bars and experience the city nightlife. And every time in the past that I've been to Ottawa and Halifax, it's been like kind of an in and out experience.
Especially in a place like with Halifax, like you really, because it's just, I find myself personally, like I got family down in Nova Scotia. So I find when I go down there, it's like a completely almost different world down there sometimes. Like I really find that everyone is just like, you walk down the street and someone's saying hi to you. Maybe not so much in the big city, I guess, but so it's cool to hear that you kind of got to experience that. Is there anything that you did in Halifax that was like kind of a big standout? Like, was there like a favorite bar you went to and you were like, man, this place is great?
Oh, here's where I'm trying to remember what I even did in Halifax.
So it was a really
I
good time then, if you can't.
I went to more bars in Ottawa. Halifax, I
Oh,
went to
okay.
more. Halifax, I went to more like
Oh,
shops, and
okay.
going along the pier and living that the tourist life.
Yeah, you gotta be able to stop and smell the roses a bit, you know. Like it's a really cool thing that you were able to kind of go all over. And how did you find New Brunswick? Like, did you kind of get to do any a little bit of sightseeing there as well or anything? Or
I I spent more time in downtown Fredericton.
okay.
Last time I was kind of on the outskirts, and I spent a lot of times just like in some rural suburb, high and confused. But this
Ah, you're
this
confused.
this time I was exploring downtown Fredericton. Um, Went
That's
to like a
great.
cafe, had food. It was a lot more substance, and I experienced a lot more of Moncton as well. The show in Moncton turned out better than the last, and it was cool to be you're recognized by the bartenders and you like feel
Oh, for
welcome right
sure. Yeah.
away. And yeah, so New Brunswick stayed awesome. I also played a house show in New Brunswick this time around, and that was
Oh,
impressive.
how was that? That would have been interesting.
It was really wild. It was one of the quieter shows, but the guys that have it set up, they're in this area called Ripples. It's a very rural area, and they have their house decorated like straight up. It's like it's for the house venue, and they do this kind of Las Vegas ballroom kind of thing with these big red
Oh,
leather
wow.
couches and zebra. Like it's very
That's
showy, like
sweet.
zebra floor and all of these signed portraits of musicians that they've collected all over the walls. And it almost looks like an arcade in Las Vegas, that kind of bizarre vibe.
That's actually sweet.
It felt like I walked onto an alien spaceship, especially considering I had spent the past 4 hours driving through rural New Brunswick to find myself
Which is
in
like
like
there's nothing. Yeah.
to then find
There's
myself
nothing there.
in this replica of Las Vegas like nightlife in the form of somebody's living room. That was interesting. I should send you some pictures that
You
I took.
should, yeah. That's actually freaking hilarious because I've got family in rural New Brunswick as well. So that's crazy to hear. Now I have two things I need to ask. One is me. I'm going to pitch you something. The other one's a question about New Brunswick. What's Did you find driving through there? Did you see anyone chilling on their front lawn on their lawn chairs, or was it too cold for that?
It
You didn't
was
see anyone chilling on the.
it was pretty warm. I didn't see anybody chilling, but what I was disappointed is that I didn't see any like moose, because I see all the moose
Yeah.
crossing signs. And last time when in the spring when I went, I was like, oh, I didn't see any moose. Maybe next time. So I was kind of sad. We were leaving. We were heading to Quebec, and I was just like, oh, another trip, another like no moose.
You
Yeah.
didn't see any moose or meese, if you want to call them that. But that's crazy because it's always the big joke that everyone in New Brunswick just hangs out on their front lawn on a lawn chair. So that's so crazy to hear about the Las Vegas thing. But just before we continue, I want to pitch you an idea because I think it's pure money, and you don't have to give me any credit for anything. But you mentioned earlier that you were just hanging out in was it Fredericton? You were like high and confused or whatever you just said there. That was hilarious. You
Oh,
should
okay.
just document like next time you go somewhere you're not familiar with, just document that and just release that. And I think it'd be money. Just call it, the Frankie Wood experience, high and confused or something.
Next tour name.
High and confused. That's great. That's seriously awesome. So how was playing in Quebec and in PEI as well? Was there kind of anything cool that happened in PEI aside from, did you maybe get to eat some potatoes or?
I did experience like a nice little port side restaurant where it had like this like authentic smoked salmon sandwich. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
I've been to PEI twice now, and I really love Charlottetown. I think it's the most like authentic East Coast experience is that city, and it's like it's what you imagine, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
What you
exactly what
picture
you
it's gonna be.
imagine it'll be like, and each time I've been, I knew like I'm gonna drive down and park right beside Victoria Park. That's just right by the waterfront, and I'm gonna walk along the boardwalk a bit, then make my way into the city, get some food, and I just had that like kind of schedule in my head when I was coming in.
So you gave yourself lots of time to kind of really experience everything.
Yeah, it's like I was bringing another musician with me that hadn't been on tour, and I was kind of like, hey, you got to check out these places. You gotta see this.
So were you kind of the tour dad a little bit, or?
Oh yeah, yeah, I was tour dad.
So I remember you were saying last time you were on the show that the gentleman you went on tour with, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
In the spring.
Yes, yeah. What was his name?
Zach Thiessen.
That's what it was. Awesome musician. I apologize for blanking on his name, but like I remember you were kind of mentioning to me that there was a couple moments where he was like, "Hey man, like just we can do this, just relax," and so that's cool to hear that you took. Who'd you go out with in the summer again there?
So he's a Toronto singer-songwriter, goes by the stage persona The Rough Go. His name is Jimmy Ruffian.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
A bit of a rockabilly
how was
vibe.
that's cool. That's actually sweet. How was Quebec, and how was the driving? Was there any moments during the tour you were just like, man, what is going on? Did you have any trouble getting in and out of Quebec, or?
Every time I go to Quebec, the first day in Montreal it rains, and I'm
Really?
always every single time I go to Montreal, it's kind of creepy at this point. But
It's like tradition.
it's never been that bad. But when I was leaving Montreal, we were hit with this really bad storm in the fall. I don't know if you remember, but there was like a tornado in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
that's right.
So I left Ottawa. I was actually in Gatineau. I spent like an afternoon in Gatineau, and then I left. And then I arrived in Montreal in the evening and saw on the news that a tornado just hit Gatineau in the area that I was at. So I had just left, the tornado hit. Yeah, and then I played the show in Quebec. I spent the night, and then I had a kind of a free day around Montreal. And on that day, the rain started picking up and picking up and picking up. And then by the time we were driving to our next place that was housing us, which is just outside of Montreal, I was driving along the web of highways when you head out of Montreal, and people might know what I'm talking about. There's this just tangle of skyways.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely terrifying because the storm was hitting so fast, and the skyways, they have these turns, and they always have construction on them. So
Always.
there were these sections of the skyway at the parts where you turn where there was no barrier on the side, and instead there were pylons. And in theory, you could just drive through the pylons and soar your car off the edge.
Lord.
I'm like, this is like some video game shit. Like
Yeah.
why are the barriers not boarded up? Like these half constructed bridges that I'm driving on in this storm that are like 100 feet up in the air. It's weird. Fucking Montreal is wild.
It's a crazy place. That's like some like Mario Kart, like Rainbow Road shit or something.
Oh yeah.
Just
And it's
driving
like
around with that's crazy.
And you've got that that rainstorm aesthetic where the rain is coming at you,
It's coming at you
horizontally,
yeah.
so it's like that Star Wars scene, you know. Where
Yeah. It's like you're jumping into hyperspace or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's crazy. Well, I mean, I'm glad you're all right.
That's
I didn't
Montreal.
realize you were in. Yeah, I didn't realize you were in Gatineau when that happened. Because I knew you were kind of in that area. Because I try to keep tabs on everybody. You know, like when I like kind of am like when someone hits me up to do the show and like I kind of get to know them, I always try to keep tabs on everybody, and it's getting a little trickier than usual lately. But I remember thinking when all that was going down, I was like, someone's in Ottawa right now, and I was like, oh my god, like. But I think I looked on your Facebook and I saw you posted after. I was like, okay, he's fine, he's good. He's not.
Yeah, I just left just in time. Everybody else, they're
Yeah.
the ones in trouble.
Oh man.
But,
Well, it's I mean it's good that you. So did you have any kind of like any pitfalls, so to speak, aside from the weather? Maybe like anything that kind of funny that happened that was you just kind of like, oh man, like I know we were talking last time about kind of that other side of touring. A lot of people don't tend to talk about where, something that goes wrong or whatever, or something funny.
it was relaxing, honestly. I don't
That's good.
recall any big problems. We didn't get lost. We didn't run out of gas. My car didn't break down. Things
Check,
went
check,
things went
check.
things went well. Things went well.
That's awesome, man. So overall with the tour, did you kind of have like a favorite show that you played?
Oh god. It's hard to pick favorites because they all have something special about them. But I think that my most the most redeeming show was going back to the Ottawa one because I played a bar that I hadn't played before. I had always played a place called Bar Robo in Ottawa, and this time I played a significantly larger venue called the Rainbow Bistro,
Okay.
and it was just a very beautiful place. So I kind of had that feeling of yeah, I picked something good, and it's got a nice big stage. It's got the stairs going up to the balcony, and people are on the second floor looking down at the stage, and felt good. Same with Halifax. I tried a different venue, and it was a bit larger, and really good environment and really good people. Um, I played Kingston for the first time, and that was fun. Um,
Kingston's always fun. I hear that a lot that like there's a really great music scene down there.
yeah, I want to play more because you don't get the full experience necessarily from playing once. And like I only discovered like one other artist because we only had one other local on the bill. But I definitely hope to come there again and bring out more people, have some other locals on the bill playing the show. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's great, man. I'm glad that the tour went well and that it sounds like you had fun and it was a good time. And as far as what else is new in the world of Frankie Wood, as mentioned earlier, you did drop a brand new single, which we have mentioned a couple times, "I Can't Dance," which is it is a killer tune. I can actually see the guitar behind you, if I'm not mistaken, that you used for
Yeah.
the video as well, which was a really fun video. So I wanna kind of talk about that. What inspired that song and you to kind of, it isn't like when I said earlier departure, it's not like it's like a completely different type of song for you, but with the Violet Drive, which I do want to talk about a little later, it was more kind of like singer songwriter, acoustic, electric, just kind of a guitar and vocals kind of vibe for the most part, whereas with I Can't Dance you threw in some bass and some drums. So what kind of inspired you to want to go that route a little bit, which is just something that you kind of progressed with over time?
It's always been a final goal to kind of well, not a final goal, but I mean just continuous goals
Yeah, something to grow. Yeah.
to grow, especially introducing band members and a bigger stage presence and more dynamic. And when I was writing the Violet Drive, I already had what I was going to do next in mind. I didn't know when I was going to do it
Okay.
or how long it was going to take, but um, by the time I finished my spring tour after the release of the Violet Drive, I already had I Can't Dance mostly written. So when I talked to you last, I was writing I Can't Dance at that point,
Okay.
and it kind of took a while to execute just because I didn't have the band together to record it right away. and it wasn't until later in the summer that I had other musicians together, and we went down and we recorded it and we shot the music video, which was a really great experience for me and for them and for everyone else who was involved in it.
Well, that's awesome. As far as with the music video, and I do want to ask about the song itself, but with that music video and with the band, did you kind of, were they the two guys that you play with, are they going to be playing with you regularly, or was it just kind of like they were in on the writing process and with the music video?
Yes. Since November, all of my shows have included a full lineup.
Awesome.
Since
Awesome.
November, I've only played a few shows. I've kind of been, we've been taking it slow and working on an EP for the future, getting that all organized and down pat.
Awesome.
But you're definitely going to start seeing a lot more promotional material from my band, which is going to have its own name. It's Frankie Wood and Frankie Wood and
nice.
And that's going to be
something.
That's going to be announced sometime.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're working hard on that.
Who's playing in the band with you now? If you just kind of want to give them a little shout out.
So we have Joshua Geisels, also known as Juice, who is our drummer. He is also the mind behind a lot of the music video, and it is his apartment where we shoot the video in.
Oh, nice.
We on bass we have Kieran Lashington Francis, who it's just a guy from my hometown who I saw around at shows a lot, and I was like, "You play bass, and you live near me." Like that was pretty simple, pretty great. Good chemistry.
And he's got a badass name too.
Yeah,
that's important, man. That's important. I don't know. As a young kid, when I was always obsessed with names. I don't know. I'd like see a name of a musician. I'd be like, that's a musician. You know what I mean? Like I see like Frankie Wood. I'm like, that just sounds like he's a musician or he's somebody, you know?
Well, thank you. All right. Appearance in the music video because he's the most recent addition, but we do have a second guitar player right now live.
Oh, nice.
Chris H or Chris Humphrey, and he is just a kind of a childhood friend of mine who I just asked kind of a couple months ago, "Hey, you play guitar? I'm thinking my live shows should have a second guitar." And the song "I Can't Dance" does have a second guitar part in the recording, so we weren't able to play it properly live with just one guitar player. So yeah, the project has definitely evolved into the full sound and dynamic that I had been looking for from the time I wrote the song.
That's super awesome, man. And as far as with the music video, I mean, if you guys haven't seen the video, I mean, I really implore you to go check it out because this is a really fun video. It was kind of exactly what, like when I heard the song, because I heard the song before I saw the video, and it was like I was picturing a video and I'm like, what are they going to do for it? And it was pretty much exactly what I thought. Like just a really fun video. You guys are in an apartment. How many freaking balloons were there in that video? Like, I don't even know.
I know.
Yeah.
Roughly 780.
Holy.
But
so did you blow those all up yourself, or?
Me, my girlfriend, and Josh, our drummer, the day before, sat on his couch and blew them up with our lungs for about for 5 hours. But that does include a pita break where we went downtown for a pita.
Okay.
Break.
Well, you got to refuel after. That's be a lot of work. Holy crap! But I mean, it's one of those situations where it was for the art, and it really, like, I love that video. It's such the art of a quote unquote performance video to me is sometimes I find bands can kind of almost use them as a bit of a crutch, just because they'll be like, oh yeah, here's our new video, and it's like you gotta do something different, and just having the apartment full of colorful balloons. I'm like, man, that's such a cool, unique thing. And that's what a few people said to me. They're like, man, like it's not just a basic performance video, and you guys are kind of dancing around and it's like, it's just a really, really fun time. So that's really awesome to hear. How has the reception for the video been for you guys?
It's been really good. I'm happy with the YouTube views and the way I've received comments and direct messages related to the video, and when I play shows and people tell me that they checked out the video when they saw that I was on the lineup, and it's good to have a video in that way where people already get a sense of knowing me before they see me live. Or before they talk to me in person, they get a sense of, okay, I know what this guy's presence in music is. I got to give credit where credit is due, though. The balloon idea, it belongs to my drummer, Josh. That was his idea. And
that was a great idea.
he told me he had done the balloon. He'd filled his apartment with balloons before for his girlfriend's birthday. And he was like, we should, because originally I was just like, yeah, well, let's just record us playing we'll do some cool camera angles. And he's like, okay, but what if we did balloons? And I'm like, balloon? Okay. So every time we'd blow up the balloons,
you're gonna blow all those up, bro?
We'd throw them into the small room that we film most of the video in, and we had a bed sheet tacked to the wall to create like this barrier so we could leave the door open and throw the balloons over until we filled it up entirely with all the balloons. By the way, 780 balloons is only like $60 at Walmart, so
yeah, that's not bad, man.
That's my shout out.
That's crazy. I figured, just kind of like the bit I've gotten to know you, I figured, okay, like he probably did it DIY, but like that's still dedication to the craft, man. That's crazy. So did you guys, I have to ask, did you have everything set up before you threw all the balloons in, or did you have to go in after and set up all your drums and stuff?
We had the drums in there. Once the guys came in to record, they put their kind of input in, and we did things like we put a table in there, or the table was already in there because it's nailed to the wall, and we put the guitar amplifier on top so that the guitar amplifier kind of sticks up out from the balloons.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I'm not sure if there's any camera shots where you can even see it, but we tried.
I want to say there is, because I think I noticed a couple times that, I mean, I wasn't sitting there studying the video like, yes, I understand this camera angle. Like, I don't know shit, but I'm like, I want to say that I recognized it.
We gave the camera guys such a challenge. Like, they came in with their big lighting rig, and they had to kind of go in and burrow under the balloons, and they put these blue lights underneath the balloons, awesome, sticking up at different angles, and some lights coming from above on these towers. And it's genuinely hard to navigate into this small room. It made the room, you'd think adding more things to the room would make it smaller. It kind of made it feel bigger because it took so long to get from one side of the room to the other.
780 balloons to track through.
Yeah, and oh my god, the sweat. I
can only imagine.
I felt bad. I was like, oh no, these camera guys are they're Roadhouse Productions. They're from Toronto, the guys who did the music video. And
shout to them.
I was like,
they did awesome video.
Yes, they do. They do awesome videos in general. And yeah, they were sweating so much, and they were like, this is like one of the funnest and weirdest videos we've done, but it is also the hottest and most painful. Like, it was daunting. It was definitely daunting, especially spending time like moving around, because while I'm dancing and playing guitar to the backing track, and two guys held the cameras, the other guys would they would try to shovel the balloons around so that the balloons would move around. So everyone
I was going to ask about that.
Everybody was getting a workout, and nobody wanted to. Definitely, yeah, it was. But we had our nice one take where we open the door and all the balloons spill out. And of course, we only had one shot to do that because there's no way in hell we're going to put all those balloons back in.
Oh,
So
no way.
once we were comfortable with all the small room shots, camera guy goes outside. He lays down on the floor, aiming the camera at the door, and he's like, "Okay, you guys are going to walk out one by one and let all the balloons spill out with you." And we did that in one take, and it worked. It turned out. And from there, we had the whole room littered in balloons. And that was when our guests started to arrive, because the second half of the music video is a house show.
Yeah.
And we had two local bands play. We had Patrick Lawler and the Treetops, and they brought some people, and we brought some people, and people just arrived in, and there's just balloons all over the floor, not up to your chest like before, now that it's spread across the apartment, but up to everyone's calves there is balloons. And I think everyone had a really great time, so it was awesome that I could not just shoot a music video but throw a really fun party for some local friends.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. As much as I'd love to keep talking about the video, I'm really curious about the song itself, I Can't Dance. What kind of inspired that song? Because it seems to me like it's just a really great, groovy, feel good, fun track. It's one that I still have on rotation actually quite a bit, especially when I'm kind of like getting ready in the morning and I'm like kind of need to do a little bopping. It's a really great groovy tune. So like, what kind of inspired that song?
When I was writing the song and I was writing the first verse, I had a much more melancholy idea for it.
Okay.
But as I was writing it, I was personally going through some transitionary periods in my life personally that turned the song into more of an uplifting transitionary theme about discovering new things and sometimes leaving old things behind. And so that's what the song is pretty much about. The actual name "I Can't Dance" and the outro chorus where I sang a little past close, you pull me in, I can't dance, but I'll pretend. That's like a true story that I penned down after it happened. That is about somebody I know trying to teach me how to dance in their workplace after close, and me doing a terrible job because it's the song. Yeah. The song is truthful. I'm not a good dancer. I can't dance at all.
That's really, really cool. That last outro line. It's funny, man. It's like you read my mind, because I was going to actually ask you about that, because I find for me, when I hear music that is, and especially lyrics, I'm a big lyric guy, I can almost feel and tell when something is very real. So it's really cool to hear that. Do you find that with your personal writing process, when you can draw from something in real life, do you find yourself doing that a lot, where like you'll jot something down when something happens, or do you just kind of pull it all out when you're sitting down with your pen and paper, so to speak?
I definitely don't jot stuff down. Like I don't like things don't happen to me and I'm like, yeah, that's going to make a good song. It's more like in retrospect, I'm like, okay. That works. Except for with I Can't Dance. I Can't Dance was a bit of an exception, because after the dancing event, I was kind of like, I have the theme of the song. I know how to finish this, because when the event happened, I was already most of the way done the song. And I was like, I have my outro lines. I have the title. This is it. This completes it. I know it does. And but I do find myself writing about real events, and I've talked before to people about how and I might have told you how with like the Violet Drive and stuff, I do try to keep my songwriting interpersonal and like lots of storytelling. And sometimes I'll tell a story about something that I made up that represents something, but I'll intertwine like a real event in with that. Songwriting can be pretty abstract like that, but that's me.
For sure. Well, that's awesome. And like I said, I do want to jump into the Violet Drive, but before we do, we've been talking about the song and the video, so I think it would be awesome right now, before we continue, if we play the song for everybody. I Can't Dance. You guys can check it out anywhere you get your music, and you can also check out the video it's on YouTube and Facebook, correct? Or is it just on YouTube?
The video is on YouTube, and of course the song itself is streaming on all platforms.
Absolutely. Wherever you get your music, your Spotify's and your Apple Music's and your iTunes and all that fun stuff. So we're going to play that song for you guys right now. And when we come back, I'm going to talk with Frankie a little bit more kind of about what's going on right now. And then we're going to jump into kind of a bit of a deeper discussion on the Violet Drive.
It's your guy, Jaybird here from Jaybird Digital Arts, reminding you to tune in to the Hotter Show podcast. Hell, tune into all of the Podbeard Network shows, and not just because they support Jaybird, but because they're good. And I'll give you a discount on design work if you do. Beat that deal, I dare ya.
Oh, aside from the new song and that tour and that, and kind of working a little bit with the band, you've talked a bit about it, but what else is kind of going on in the world of Frankie Wood? What else are you working on right now?
Well, again, the musicians involved with I Can't Dance stuck it through with me, and they're continuing to play live. We are working on writing songs for an upcoming record, hopefully to be released sometime. We've got
Sometime, yeah.
yeah. This is like I'm talking I'm speaking about things that are so early, still.
Oh, for
But
sure.
doing well. We have a couple shows booked. You're gonna see us playing in St. Catharines soon, in uh, Hamilton area, maybe Brantford, maybe Toronto, um, London. Those are the areas closest to me and most practical. I do intend on getting another acoustic tour going
Nice.
at some point in the early summer. That's my current goal anyways. I want to go back out again and play alone and acoustic, and just travel around a bit more and get more of that, because I'm definitely a bit addicted to doing that.
Yeah, there's something to be said for when you can just kind of go out with your acoustic, and go just kind of do your thing. And I feel like it kind of helps in a way hone your craft as a front man as well, because at the end of the day, it's just you and an acoustic. There's nothing else to hide behind. There's no one else that you're sharing the stage with, that you can be like, hey, like, can you like move around a bit too and stuff. Like, it's just you and an acoustic and an audience. So it can be a terrifying thing. So I think it's definitely a really good thing to do to kind of get those reps in, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
With the band and that and the record, obviously, as you said, it's in the very early stages, so I'm not gonna press on that. But do you kind of have any indication at all of like, is it going to be like a full record? Are you going to do the EP thing again? Are you going to kind of keep the same kind of vibe as I Can't Dance with the more the full band thing? And do you think you're going to mix and match it, or is it still a little too early to tell?
In a lot of ways, it's still too early to tell.
Cool.
I
Okay.
do intend for it to be a small record, like an EP.
Okay.
Simply because of time, and
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I don't want to spend all year on it. I do want to have the chance to put out the progress that I've made with a full band and show what we've done without creating too much of a saga.
Oh, for sure. And that's something that's really great about nowadays, man, is like you can, there's so much music in the world now. So sometimes it's almost best to just like, hey, here's 5 or 6 songs, instead of, hey guys, we're releasing a record in a year and a half. It's like, it's a constant thing. So it's really cool to hear. And you guys can be rest assured that I will be keeping in touch with Frankie about that, because the second that we get any indication, we will for sure be doing something else. So that's really cool. But speaking on EPs and that, when I had you on the show before, we had a great time and we learned a lot about you, and we just had a wonderful time. But I did not ask you a few things that I really, really wanted to ask about the Violet Drive, which was, of course, your debut EP, which was released in April of last year. So I wanted to kind of dive in a little bit into each of the songs on the record and kind of give you a chance to, for those who may be wondering, we did speak earlier a little bit about your writing process, but if maybe you just kind of want to run me through each song a little bit and kind of maybe a little bit about what the song's about, if you care to. So as far as with the Violet Drive, I'll give you the song, and then you can kind of elaborate if you so choose as much as you
Okay.
want. If that's this is awesome. I'm really
All right.
excited for this because I really wanted to do this before. So the first track off the Violet Drive is called Cotton Candy. So what's the deal with Cotton Candy? What's the story of that song?
Well, the title of the song has nothing to do with the actual song.
Yeah.
The title was given to me when I was talking to a friend at a party, and I was describing my EP release, and I was talking about, oh, I want to do these pastel pink cassette tapes, and maybe have some kind of baby blue aesthetic too. And they were like, "Oh, yeah, that works. Because your music and it's kind of like cotton candy."
That's
I was like,
actually
my
really
my,
good.
my music's like cotton candy, huh? And
Huh, okay, okay.
so I had this long kind of anthem of a song that I was working on at the time, and I named it Cotton Candy and made it the first track.
That's awesome. And I mean, it's a great opening too. I mean, it's been a little while since I did do that review, but there's a couple songs on the EP like that really resonated with me, and that was actually one of them. I really enjoyed that. Do you care to touch on a little bit about the lyrical content for that song, or?
The lyrical content is just definitely just interpersonal relationship banter. Definitely stuff like that. Some stuff about experiencing moving to a new city. Some stuff about experiencing the music scene. A lot of just kind of day-to-day life stuff in that song.
Awesome, very good. Something that I did notice with you, which is something that I appreciate about you as a songwriter, that you kind of did already touch on, but it feels very. I'm one of my favorite songwriters is a guy by the name of Clint Lowry, and he's plays a band called Seven Dust and does a few other projects, and he's a very like with his lyrical content, especially for his solo stuff. It's very like story driven, but there are times where he'll pull on something where it's like how he would almost speak. It's just like he's talking to you, kind of, if that makes sense. And that's something that I really appreciate in songwriting and in music and in musician. And I find that you kind of bring that to the table where like I feel like almost in a way like it kind of makes sense with what you've been saying, how like it's just like you're kind of almost like literally just telling me a story about something, but you're singing it to me and you're playing guitar.
All right, yeah.
But as far as with the next track on the EP, Paris, what's the story behind that one?
One time I went to Paris and I wrote a song about it. Uh, and it's a really
That's pretty, yeah.
It's a really overrated city. Don't think that from the song, I'm kind of like, ooh, do people think that I'm some kind of really like die-hard romantic for like the Paris, France aesthetic? No, I'm not. I think it's a pretty casual place. But I mean, I had fun on that trip, so wrote a song about it.
Wrote a song about it. He's not like a super hopeless romantic, just sitting there, just like I'm gonna write a song about Patty. That's great. The next song that we had on the Violet Drive was "The Getaway." So what's the story behind "The Getaway"?
So The Getaway might be one of my personal favorites looking back at the EP. The song it's definitely one of those you wouldn't be able to tell from the lyrics, but it's kind of like a looking back at high school kind of song. But it's also a lot about like alcohol and drugs, and it's a lot of it's about using substances to kind of escape events, and like kind of using like a partying aesthetic or going out and really trying to socialize to try to kind of escape the bad thoughts and things that you might be experiencing when you're young.
That's really interesting. Like just the thought of, because I mean, everyone in their own way can relate to that, whether it's even just some people like, if you had a bad experiences in high school, whatever, everyone can relate to that. So that's really, really cool. Was it because you touched earlier about how you just said that it was one that looking back, at least the EP, or is it just kind of now looking back, you realize that it's kind of one of your favorites?
I remember when I was writing it, I was really excited about it. I was really excited about the wordplay because I feel like I feel like in the lyrics I kind of make it sound like I'm singing about somebody, but really I'm singing about
Mhm.
like just drinking and partying and making it sound super emotional. And like my getaway is an implication of like escapism. But so I remember like writing it and being like, ooh, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And
It's like
but I think it
I'm a pro.
but no, but in my mind, it holds up. I'm not gonna lie. Almost a year later, and there are a few of those songs from that EP that I'm sick of. But the getaway holds up for in my head.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, that's kind of bound to happen, like as
Oh
you
yeah.
progress as a musician and as you, get a little more worldly, I guess, and even just growing up,
Oh yeah.
it happens with everybody where there's stuff that you just aren't into anymore, even a year later.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's cool because that was another one that was a favorite of mine off that EP. That's cool to hear that because I kind of was like, is it about a relationship? Is it a love song kind of thing? Like what? So that's actually great to hear.
Good. I want to keep you
So the
guessing.
next song, exactly. Well, I think that's a cool thing where it's almost like I'm a big metal guy and I'm a big fan too of metaphors in lyrics where like it's not so nail on the head where it's like you'll hear a line and you'll be like, oh, like that's like really dark, and then it's like, well, no, you just have to dissect it, and then it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, this is what's the next song on the EP is "This Town Will Get the Better of Us." So what's the deal with that one?
So it appears on the album as an instrumental track, and it appears as an instrumental track because I wrote lyrics and I didn't like them. To put it bluntly, it didn't. I was working on this song and I had the instrumental all down. And when I was trying to write the lyrics, it kind of didn't come to me the way I wanted it to. And I kind of had a way of spinning it where I was like, you know what? If I can just give it a nice like sentence of a title, I think just
Yeah,
the music itself will carry the theme and it makes a nice intermission in the middle of the album. And I thought that, this is what I need. This is what I need to let myself do.
and that literally hits the nail on the head of what I was about to say. Is just it's a nice, like you just said, interlude, kind of like, okay, let's take a break, and you see and it's very that title is very like pop punky. I really like the title when I saw it. I was like, yo, is Frankie going pop punk on me? That I heard it, and I was like, okay, like it's a nice little break. So that's great. This town
Yeah.
will get the better of us. So then the next song that we have, I always seem to mess up the name of. I don't know why. It's Evangeline. I can't speak. I apologize.
Evangeline.
Evangeline or Dust to Dust. So what's the deal with that song?
The name comes from a book or a long poem of sorts. I don't really want to get into details on that. There's a lot
There's
there
a
to
lot to
dissect.
unpack there. Yeah.
But the song itself, the name is more of inspiration. The song itself is about feeling that people around you are changing primarily because of things such as drug abuse or mental illness. So it's the darker song of the track,
Mhm.
and it deals with losing people.
Definitely, yeah. It's definitely the more darker song, and it's a great tune, and it's kind of funny because you can definitely tell those of you listening that, like, Frankie's the more he's talking about the poem and this stuff. He's definitely then you got my dumbass over here. Okay, but that's the name of the song. But that's really cool, man. It's a great tune, and again with the entirety of the Valid Drive, like it's a very feel good isn't the right phrasing. It's like it's very like it's a really nice kind of chill, put it on and just kind of hang out. while still having some substance there. It's not like it's like a I'm gonna put this on in the background and go do my thing. It's like there's a lot of substance there, so it's really cool that you kind of had that dark song thrown in there. Because sometimes I find with the singer songwriter stuff, it either goes one or the other. Like people will be like, "Oh, here's my record," and it's like all really really dark, like the whole thing, or they'll have it like, "Oh, it's all like really happy go lucky songs about drinking and getting high and stuff," and I'm like, man, like it's really cool. But as far as the last song on the EP, The Violet Drive, we have Dopamine, which was actually my pick it was my favorite song on the EP. So what's the deal with Dopamine?
Dopamine was Evangeline was the first song I wrote. Dopamine was the last song I wrote for the album.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote Dopamine so last minute that I already had my guy from Alleyway Sound, Travis Stoddart. He had already finished, or I had already sent him all of the other tracks. Like,
oh wow,
like this is it. This is the EP, and I actually had a song that was called Dopamine that because it's my fault, had some mistakes in the recording, and we're like, oh shit, we need to re-record this. And I was kind of like, I was like, yeah, okay. And then I went home and I recorded an entirely different song that I wrote like the day of last minute. And I sent it and he's like, that's not the same song. I'm like, yeah, but it has the same name.
So it's fine.
That's what I did. That's what I did is I wrote a new song in one day with the same name. And no one will ever hear the original Dopamine because this is Dopamine version 2, and I like it better.
2.0.
Yeah, I like it better. I was happy with how it turned out. It's got some of my favorite electric guitar leads that I put in.
Yeah.
It's a very simple song. It's like easy 3-chord kind of thing with a kind of like a little lick that kind of repeats through most of it, and when I was doing that one, I was kind of like, oh, this is the song that makes me wish I had a drummer. That song after I finished that one, I was kind of like, okay, I need to really get a full band if I want to keep, because this is the music that I just lean towards writing. And like, it's not quite solo acoustic, but it's not a full band without a full band. I feel like The Violet Drive was somewhere in between, a very, very like, because I have the bass and the acoustic and the electric guitar, and it's a bit more than just a singer-songwriter thing. It's kind of it's a bit of a soundscape. It's pretty alternative.
Yeah, for sure.
And
it's not just straight like one guy and a guitar kind of deal. Like there's a little bit more going on than just that.
Yeah. So I started to feel, especially after I wrote Dopamine, like, everyone can hear that I'm striving for a full band sound, but I'm not quite there. And that doesn't mean that I don't like the record, and that doesn't mean that I think that like Dopamine would have sounded like better with drums. I like how everything turned out, and I'm happy with what I wrote. I like to think of it all as just like stepping stones.
Oh, for sure.
With Dopamine, finally, I was so proud of that one, and I enjoyed it, and I almost never play it live for some reason, but I like the name, and I like the way it wraps up the EP, and I like the way everything closes. That I got Dopamine stick and poked on my knee, so.
Oh, nice.
So that's
the
there.
Stick and poke. That's awesome, man. Well, it's cool because you hit the nail on the head with what I was about to say. I talk about it all the time in my show when I do my reviews, like wrapping up a record or an EP to me is almost as important as it's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Like I'm still the kind of person that I'll sit down and listen to a full album all the way through, and I know that's not super popular anymore. You got those people who just want the single, and I mean, I'm guilty of it too, obviously. I think sometimes all of us are a little guilty of playing that one song on repeat all the time, but with Dopamine, like you said, it wraps everything up so nicely. So it's really interesting to hear that you had it kind of that last minute. Do you think it's something that maybe now with the full band you may maybe throw into the set list once in a while?
Oh my, I should talk to them about that if I can remember how to play it. It wouldn't be that
You
hard
should.
to figure out. It wouldn't be hard to figure out, but yeah, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man, for sure. Well, before we go here, you mentioned something. I wanted to ask about this kind of as we get ready to wrap it up. You just mentioned the stick and poke. So I know obviously you have some tats on your hands. So are those stick and poke as well, or are they all? Because I didn't know that stick and poke was a thing until very recently. Because I'm
Oh,
not a tattoo guy,
okay.
but I didn't know it existed. So I'm just curious. Like I can.
No,
Do you have?
my
Sorry, I
knuckles
was just
aren't
gonna
stick
say, are they? I was just gonna repeat myself.
It's okay. It's okay. My knuckles aren't stick and poked. I got that done at a shop. Like a good person should. As tattoo artists say. Tattoo artists are gonna judge you for getting stick and pokes, probably. But no, I have maybe 15 tattoos, and
Oh wow.
most of them are done at a shop. But I also kind of grew out of high school into like the punk scene, and I was in a punk band, and I definitely got a few like tattoos in people's kitchens. Um,
Which is
and
that's punk. Like that's
I got a stick and poke on like a couch in like a house venue. I actually
wow.
I gave my friend a stick and poke on his knuckle um on a cinder block that keeps the drum kit in place on a stage.
Well, okay, that's pretty.
I like
That's
that
rock
story.
and roll, man. That's great. That is freaking rock and roll for sure. So is it like because the reason I bring this up is I have a friend of mine who he got his first tattoo like 2 months ago, and he got the tattoo, and then a week later he got another one, and a week later he got another one, and now he's like obsessed, and he's like getting all these
Wow.
tattoos. And I have someone else in my life who she's covered in tattoos, but they are all stick and poke. Like she did them all herself. I'm
All right,
like,
yeah, I know a few of
that's
those. Yeah, I know a few
yeah.
people.
So anytime I hear someone mention that, it's like, whoa, I gotta talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I'm definitely not like the know-all of tattoos, but I'm definitely an
Yeah, for sure.
I'm definitely an enthusiast.
That's awesome. So you have any more tattoos planned that you're gonna get this year? Or?
Not that I can afford right now.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, that's why I always waited, bro. I was like, I kind of want to get this tattooed, and I want to get this tattooed, and I'm like, yeah. I go and look at booking it, and I'm like, okay, that's a little. Then I'm like, maybe I should do the stick and poke. Maybe I could be like, hey, Frankie, you want to come over to my place and we'll you can
Well,
your little
like
stick and poke. I'll like sit here and
uh, I feel like if you're a tattoo addict, stick and pokes kind of fill up the time when you're broke.
yeah, for sure. I get that vibe too.
But
That's great.
yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, bro. It's been great talking to you. I know that, and I have to give Frankie a little shout out as well because I had to keep canceling on him and real life was getting in the way. So I do really, really appreciate the patience, bro, and you taking the time today to come hang out and chat. Where can the good people find you on all your social media?
On social media, well, on Facebook, it's just Frankie Wood. On YouTube, it's Frankie Wood. You can search up Frankie Wood. I can't dance, or I think you can. I think you can just search up Frankie Wood and get me because I don't think there's anybody else on YouTube.
Yeah, I think you're it. I don't think there's anyone
There's like
else kicking
there's
around.
like a couple. There's a couple people that I've been trying to beat out, and I think I have. So
Yeah, if you Google Frankie Wood, I'm like 90. I think I did earlier, and I think you're it. I'm pretty sure. I think if you Google
I've got the
Frankie Wood, I'm
knowledge
pretty sure you pop
panel.
up. Yeah,
I've got the knowledge panel and everything. On Instagram, it's frankiewood.official, and yeah, I've got everything somewhere.
awesome. Here, wherever you can go on there and type into your computer machines, you can find them. Beautiful. Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time, and we'll be sure to keep everyone up to date on what's going on with you and the record, and maybe we can have a chat a little later on this year.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be on your show again. Definitely.
All right. Thanks a lot, brother. All right, gang, so there you have it. My chat with my boy Frankie Wood from Frankie Wood and the Thrifts. Try and say that 10 times fast. It was a great time. Frankie's always a killer guest, and I do appreciate my man coming on the show and being my first guest to do the video thing. I do very much appreciate it. It's kind of a bit of a learning experience with this whole video thing. Like I said, it's not going to be a all the time thing. Like, I know that my next interview that I actually just did, that will be going up in the next couple of weeks or next few weeks, was not with video. It was just audio, just for simplicity's sake. So it's not going to be an all the time thing, but if I am able to do video, I will do video up. And then as time goes on, if you guys are like, yo, we like the video, do the video all the time, I will make it happen somehow. I don't know how. I have no idea. But I will make it happen for you guys. Because I'm a man of the people. Okay? That's why I'm here. I'm here to entertain you. I'm here to help you through your work day, or help you through your commute or your workout, or however I can help you through your day. That is my job. That is why I am on this earth as far as I'm concerned. I'm also on this earth, again, to make sure that you guys save a little money. Save a little money whenever you're looking to buy some concert tickets, or you're looking to go to the theater and you want to purchase some tickets for that, or you want to go watch some dude get punched in the face, or you want to go watch dudes skating around in the rink, or people throw a baseball or basketball, or whatever the hell you're into, whatever you want to go see. Your boy has the hookup, okay? And if you listen to the intro, you know what I'm talking about, and that is seatgiant.ca or .com, depending on where you're from. If you guys didn't listen to the intro, basically, they're a new sponsor for the show. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be, well, it's technically a sponsor for the network, but it's for the Hotter Show as well, of course. Because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you know, it's kind of the main staple of the network. Just joking. That'll get some shots fired at everybody else. You know, I love you guys. All jokes here. But either way, there's a great new partnership. We're super excited about it. Seat Giant are some awesome people. You know, they're very real, upfront, honest. Some ticket resale sites are kind of, you know, sketchy in my experiences. You know, it's like, okay, here's this, and it's this fee. Well, what's this fee for? Oh, it's just a fee, bro. Don't worry about it. Seat Giant is not like that, man. They have everything all up front. You know exactly where you're going to be. They have the map on there. You can select from where you want to sit. It's awesome. They tell you everything all up front. They're very good people. You know, they don't mess around. They're not going to play you and take your money or that kind of bull crap. They're very good people. We would not partner with scumbags or anything at all like that. So they're very good people. And if you go on there and you want to buy some tickets, you know, like me personally, I'm getting ready to purchase some Alice in Chain tickets for a concert coming up here in at Casino Rama. Very, very excited about that. I'm going to be buying them through Seat Giant. And what's great is if you go on there, on either the Canadian website or the .com website, if you are outside of Canada, whatever the currency you're using, you go on there, the tickets are in that currency. You can go on there and you select the tickets you want. You enter the coupon code PODBEARD. That's PODBEARD. PODBEARD, all lowercase. And you save yourself a little something. A little something. Okay. Now, I don't know what you're thinking. Some people are like, a little something. That's not much. Hey, man. A little something is a little something. Okay? All you got to do is type in a few letters, and it saves you a little something. Okay? That's all you got to do. Saves you a little something. Helps out the network. Helps me out. Helps them out too, because they're great people. Seat Giant. Awesome people. So help us out. Help them out. Get the tickets you want for the event that you need in your life. So don't mess around. Go on seatgiant.ca or .com today. Pick up the tickets for whatever you want and have a great time on Seat Giant and Podbeard. And be sure to let us know if you do buy tickets and you go see something, you know, tag us in the, in the picture or whatever. Be like, hey, I'm going to see, blast. What do people go see these days? What do people see? What's going on? I don't know. Let's say you go to see, Eminem in concert or something. I don't know. I thought of Eminem. It's like, yo, man, look, it's Slim Shady, man. Oh, thanks, Seat Giant and Podbeard. And you know, we'll give you a little shout out, you know. I'm always into that kind of stuff, you know. That's what it's all about here. That's what you're all about here on the Horror Show and Podbeard Network. So, again, seatgiant.ca.com, coupon code Podbeard Network for all the events that you need. Seat Giant has your hookup. Thank you guys very much again for tuning into the show. You know it means the world to me. Be sure to hit that subscribe button regardless of how you're listening, whether you're on the SoundCloud or the Spotify or the iTunes or the CastBox or the Stitcher or the Google Podcast or literally however you listen to the show. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you are listening on YouTube and you watched video of the interview and you're still listening, thank you so very much. It really means the world to me that you paid attention to the very, very end to let me, kind of give a shout out to the sponsors of the show and let you guys know a few other things. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. Let Frankie know how attractive of a man he is. I mean, let's be honest. This is a good looking cat, and his guitar behind him was really nice, And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go on the Harder Show's YouTube channel. Just type in The Harder Show. Go on there. Follow The Harder Show. Video is going to be implemented more in the future. I am working on getting some kind of a more easier system instead of me sitting up till 2 a.m. kind of hacking through things. So as we go on, things will get a little better. For now, it's just a very basic thing. If you listen to this right now, you're just seeing the Harder Show logo. In the future, I may do video as well for these intro and outros. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. You guys let me know what you want. I'm a man of the people. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to sign off here today. Thank you very much again for tuning in, and I will catch you next time on The Harder Show. Take it easy, guys.